What if everything you believe about yourself is wrong? What if you're not 100% human? It might sound like an absurd question, but what if there were hidden signs proving you're different? Signs that few notice, yet they've always been there, waiting to be recognized. Something that has always been within you, but the world has tried to make you ignore. Have you ever felt like, somehow, you just don't fit in? As if you see life from a different perspective, noticing things no one else seems to. Maybe you've felt that your emotions and thoughts run deeper than those around you. Perhaps from an early age, you asked questions that made others uncomfortable. Questions that seemed obvious to you but had no clear answers. And over the years, people may have tried to make you conform. They told you it was all in your head, that you should stop overthinking, stop feeling so much. But deep down, you always knew there was more to it. You saw patterns no one else noticed. You questioned things others accepted without hesitation. While everyone else went with the flow, something inside you felt out of sync. But here's the most curious part. Some people go their entire lives without ever realizing they're different. They ignore the signs, silence their intuition, and convince themselves they are just like everyone else. But some wake up, and once they do, there's no going back. If you've ever felt this way, then you might carry something within you that most people will never understand. And today, you will uncover the truth. There are 3 hidden signs that reveal if you are one of the chosen. 3 pieces of undeniable proof that your essence might be far more than just human. But before we continue, pay close attention. If at any point during this video, you feel chills, goosebumps, or a long-forgotten memory resurfaces in your mind, that may be the ultimate sign that this message was meant for you. The first sign could change everything you believe about yourself. If you have this sign, your journey is only beginning. Have you ever noticed that certain places affect you more than they should? That some people have an energy that makes you uncomfortable, even if they don't say a word? While most people go through life unaware of what's happening around them, you feel everything on a much deeper level. That is no coincidence. Have you ever stepped into a room and without knowing why, felt a tightness in your chest or a shiver run through your body? Or been near someone and, after just a few minutes, felt your energy drain away as if you were carrying an invisible weight? The chosen not only sense these vibrations, but are directly affected by them. And this sensitivity extends beyond people. Have you ever had moments where you could feel the energy in a room shift before anything even happened? As if something inside you already knew what was coming? This is not imagination or coincidence. It happens because your connection to the world is not ordinary. But there's a challenge. This sensitivity can be a burden. Small conflicts might consume you more than they should. Crowded places might overwhelm you. And the worst part? Not everyone understands. Some people will call you overly dramatic or too sensitive simply because they can't feel what you feel. But what if I told you that this sensitivity is not a flaw? That in fact, it is one of the clearest signs that you are different. And here's the most unsettling part. The more you awaken to this truth, the more others sense your energy. And not everyone reacts well to it. The third sign explains exactly why some people are instantly drawn to you, while others reject you for no apparent reason. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to like you immediately, while others feel an inexplicable dislike toward you, even when you've done nothing? That is no coincidence. The chosen never go unnoticed. Your presence shifts the energy around you, even if you're unaware of it. Some people are drawn to your energy and want to be near you for no clear reason. Others, however, feel uncomfortable, irritated, or even hostile in your presence, as if your very existence unsettles them. And this goes beyond ordinary social interactions. Have you ever walked into a place and felt like all eyes were on you, even when you weren't doing anything? Or noticed that some people try to get close to you in an almost obsessive way, as if they're trying to drain something from you? This phenomenon happens because your vibration is not ordinary. Your energy carries something that not everyone can understand. But the opposite effect also happens. Have you ever met someone who, out of nowhere, started treating you with coldness or even aggression for no reason at all? People who never had any real issue with you, but seem to reject you automatically? This happens because, without realizing it, you trigger extreme reactions in those around you. People who operate at lower frequencies perceive your energy as a threat. They can't explain it, but something inside them instinctively reacts against you. And the opposite is also true. Those who vibrate at a similar level may feel an instant connection, as if they've known you forever. And there's something even more intriguing. Have you ever noticed that, during crucial moments in your life, certain people appeared just to test you, as if they were obstacles disguised as friends, partners, or colleagues? Maybe someone entered your life, and for a while, everything seemed fine, until they started draining you emotionally, diminishing you, making you doubt yourself. That wasn't a coincidence. Some people are drawn to your light, but not because they wish you well. They feel the impact of your energy, and without even realizing it, they try to extinguish it. This happens because the more you awaken, the more intense this effect becomes. Some people will be drawn to you, seeking your light. Others will try to put it out. And this can happen in subtle ways or in aggressive ones. If you've ever felt that certain people simply can't stand your presence for no reason, or that others cling to you in an almost obsessive way, now you know why. But there's something even deeper that needs to be revealed. There is a fourth sign, one that few recognize, yet it could be the final piece in understanding your true nature. And what you're about to discover may completely change the way you see your journey. At night, when the world sleeps, something happens to you. Your dreams have never been like those of other people. While most simply relive fragments of their day or random scenes without meaning, you dream of places you've never seen, symbols that seem to hold a hidden message, and events that later become reality. And the most intriguing part? This has always been a part of your life. Since childhood, have you had strange dreams that felt more real than the day ahead? Maybe you've woken up with the feeling that what you just experienced wasn't just a dream, but a memory, something your conscious mind can't fully grasp. Or have you ever dreamed of someone you hadn't seen in years, only for that person to suddenly reach out to you shortly after? The chosen have always had a deep connection to the world of dreams. Sometimes these messages come symbolically, through mysterious images that don't immediately make sense. Other times they appear as a clear warning, a vision of what's about to happen. Some call it intuition, others call it premonition. But the truth is, this gift has followed the chosen for centuries. And this isn't something new. There are ancient records of people who foresaw events before they happened, guided by dreams that seemed ordinary at first. Many spiritual leaders, prophets, and visionaries possessed this ability. Their visions warned them of dangers, changes, and even the fate of entire civilizations. But this gift didn't vanish with the past. It still exists today, and if you've been having dreams that feel like messages, perhaps it's happening to you. But the signs don't always come in obvious ways. Sometimes they appear as recurring dreams, scenarios that seem to repeat night after night, as if your mind is trying to tell you something. Other times, they manifest as unknown places that, for some reason, feel incredibly familiar. And in some cases, these dreams become even more intense. You feel as if you are living another reality while you sleep. The smells, the colors, the emotions, everything feels too real to be just imagination. And what happens when you ignore these signs? How many times have you dreamed of something and dismissed it, only to realize later that it actually happened? Or dreamed of someone, and days later that person unexpectedly appeared in your life? The dreams of the chosen are not just random creations of the subconscious. They hold answers, warnings, and guidance. But there's something few people know. Some dreams are not just visions of the future. Some are memories, fragments of something your consciousness has yet to understand. Certain cultures believe that dreams are portals to other dimensions, where the spirit can travel, access knowledge, and even receive instructions. And if that's true, then what does it say about who you really are? The more you pay attention to them, the clearer they become. Over time, you start to notice patterns, symbols that repeat, messages that return persistently, until the moment you realize your dreams are not just dreams, they are portals to something far greater. But there is one detail that almost no one notices. Some dreams are not just messages, they are tests. And those who ignore them may be missing the greatest revelation of their lives. And this brings us to the next sign. A sign so profound that it could forever change the way you see your existence. For as long as you can remember, technology has reacted strangely around you. Phones freeze for no reason, lights flicker or burn out shortly after you enter a room, watches simply stop working on your wrist. If this has happened to you more than once, know that it is not a coincidence. The chosen have a different energetic frequency, something that science has yet to fully explain. But if you pay attention to the patterns, you'll see that this has always happened at specific moments. Maybe your phone shuts off suddenly when you're emotionally overwhelmed, or your computer screen freezes without explanation when you're deeply focused on something important. And the strangest part? Taking the device to be repaired usually doesn't solve anything, because as soon as it leaves your hands, it starts working normally again. This happens because your energy affects the electromagnetic fields around you. Everything in the universe is vibration, including the electronic devices we use daily. But your vibration is not like that of most people. Have you noticed that when you're anxious, nervous, or emotionally charged, these phenomena tend to happen more often? As if your very energy is clashing with technology? And this isn't something new. There are historical records of highly sensitive individuals interfering with electricity long before modern technological advancements. Some ancient cultures believed that certain people carried such a powerful magnetic field that they could influence objects around them just by being present. But there's something even more intriguing. This phenomenon has been studied by researchers in the field of parapsychology. There are reports of individuals who, under intense stress or altered states of consciousness, manage to turn off streetlights, cause televisions to shut down, and even interfere with radios without ever touching them. Traditional science tends to avoid discussing these occurrences, but the reports keep coming. And if you think this is an exaggeration, consider those moments when, as you entered a room, a light suddenly flickered or burned out, or when an elevator stopped working at the exact moment you were about to use it. Some may call this coincidence, but when these coincidences happen repeatedly, they are no longer mere accidents. And here's an important detail. The chosen don't just cause technological interference. They also attract electronics that fail in inexplicable ways. Some people report that every time they buy a new phone, it starts malfunctioning for no reason, or that their watches simply stop working, no matter how many times they replace the battery. But what happens when this energy becomes uncontrolled? There have been cases of people experiencing even more extreme phenomena, feeling an invisible shock when touching a device, or even seeing TV or computer screens flicker just from their presence. This means that your energy is growing stronger, and that could be a sign of something even greater happening within you. If all of this happens to you, then there is a reason. You carry a frequency that few possess. But what does that really mean? This leads us to the next sign, a sign so powerful that it may completely change the way you see yourself. From the very beginning, you have felt different. No matter where you were, at school, at work, within your family, there was something about you that set you apart. Maybe you tried to fit in, to be like everyone else, to talk about the same topics, to act the same way. But deep down, you knew you weren't like them. And the strangest part? The people around you sensed it too. Maybe you were excluded from conversations for no apparent reason. Or you noticed strange looks when you said something that, to you, made perfect sense, but to others, felt uncomfortable. Perhaps, at different moments in your life, you felt that no one truly understood you, as if there were an invisible barrier between you and the rest of the world. This is no accident. The chosen have always carried this sense of isolation. Since ancient times, those with a greater mission have always been treated as outcasts. Think about the great spiritual teachers, prophets, and visionaries. How many of them were rejected before they were recognized? They weren't accepted because their vibrational frequency was different from that of the masses. And here's an important detail. This rejection often comes from where you least expect it. It could be within your own family, where you feel that no one truly sees you for who you are. It could be among friends, where even surrounded by people, you feel an inexplicable emptiness. Have you ever tried to open up about your perceptions, only to be ridiculed or dismissed as someone who overthinks? Have you ever felt that, no matter how hard you tried to connect, an invisible barrier seemed to stand in the way? But there is something no one has told you, something that could change the way you see this rejection. The world has always rejected those who came to change it. Great spiritual leaders were persecuted. Revolutionary scientists and thinkers were ridiculed before they were recognized. Even visionary artists and creators were treated as outcasts before the world finally understood what made them special. This happens because those who see beyond make others uncomfortable. Those who don't fit into the system scare those who live in conformity. And in your case, this rejection is not a punishment, it is a test. What if I told you that this rejection is proof that you are different for a reason? That from the very beginning, this isolation has been part of your awakening process? The chosen go through trials that test their strength. The isolation, the misunderstanding, and the rejection are not punishments. They are filters. They remove those who are not ready to walk by your side and strengthen you so that you can find those who truly belong on your path. But there is something even deeper. Have you noticed that despite being rejected by many, there are always a few people who seem to recognize you immediately, as if they sense something special about you, even if they can't explain it? This happens because those who are awakening are also drawn to your energy. The greatest mistake a chosen one can make is believing they need to be accepted. Because acceptance is an illusion. The chosen were never meant to fit in. They were meant to lead. If you have always felt this rejection, stop trying to be like everyone else. This does not mean there is something wrong with you. On the contrary, it may be the greatest proof that you were never meant to be ordinary. But there is a sixth sign. A sign that may explain why your journey has always been so different. From the very beginning, you notice that your presence never went unnoticed. Some people feel magnetically drawn to you, as if there's something in your energy that fascinates them. They want to be around you, to hear what you have to say, to seek your guidance, even if they can't explain why. And others simply can't stand your existence. Without you doing anything, without any logical reason, there are those who feel instant dislike, who try to diminish or push you away. This happens because the chosen carry a different vibration from most people. Your energy is not neutral. It is intense, transformative, and it triggers extreme reactions. If you've never understood why some people love you for no reason while others seem to hate you without explanation, know that this is not random. You carry something inside you that activates something in others, both positively and negatively. Think about the times when you've walked into a room and without saying a word, you felt the energy shift around you. Maybe someone suddenly became friendlier, opening up about deep topics they wouldn't normally share with just anyone. Or, on the contrary, someone who barely knew you showed irritation, discomfort, or disdain, as if your presence alone unsettled them. This happens because your energy works like a mirror. People feel the truth within you, and it causes them to reveal their own nature, for better or worse. Those who vibrate at a high frequency feel safe and understood in your presence. But those who carry envy, fear, or negativity perceive your light as a threat. Have you ever noticed that in certain moments, just being in a room can completely change the atmosphere? That's because your energy doesn't go unnoticed. And there's something even deeper at play. Some people are drawn to you not because they wish you well, but because they want to feed off your energy. The chosen often attract people who drain their life force, those who come close only to strengthen themselves at your expense. They seek you out like a lighthouse in the dark, but instead of growing alongside you, they try to deplete you. Others, on the other hand, feel an instant aversion. These are the ones who cannot tolerate your light. They don't even understand why, but something within them is disturbed by your presence. Maybe you felt this before. Being somewhere and noticing that a stranger, who has never even spoken to you, looks at you with disdain or avoids eye contact. This happens because your energy, without meaning to, exposes the truth in others. But there's something almost no one talks about. Some of those who reject you are deep down afraid. They know that, in your presence, their masks fall away. Have you noticed that manipulative or false people tend to push you away early on, even without knowing you? Or that insecure individuals feel uncomfortable around you? This happens because your presence forces them to confront who they really are. And here's something very few people understand. The more you awaken, the stronger this reaction becomes. People who once didn't even notice you suddenly start paying attention. Some want to follow you. Others want to bring you down. And this is the most dangerous moment for a chosen one. If you've ever felt that your presence provokes extreme reactions in others, stop and think. This is no coincidence. This is a sign that you carry something rare. And if this sign is already evident in your life, then something even greater is waiting for you. But there is a seventh sign, a sign that may finally reveal what you truly are. From an early age, your life has never been easy. While others seemed to walk a smoother path, you faced challenges that felt far greater than they should have been for someone your age. Maybe your childhood was marked by struggles, loneliness, or situations that forced you to grow up too fast. Even as a child, you felt that life was testing you in a way that few around you seemed to understand. And it didn't stop when you got older. Every time it seemed like things were finally going to get better, something happened to pull you back. Difficult relationships, unexpected betrayals, painful losses, as if there was a pattern in your life. Every time you were about to reach something important, a new obstacle appeared. Have you ever felt like your path is more difficult than most people's? Like you're constantly being tested? This happens because the chosen never have an easy life. Since ancient times, those who carry a greater mission have endured trials that shape their strength. Ordinary people may live comfortably in ignorance, but a chosen one must be forged in the fire of resilience. And that is why your life has been so challenging. But there's something few realize. These challenges are not random. They follow a pattern. Have you noticed that certain types of problems keep repeating in your life? As if you're stuck in cycles that always test the same weaknesses? This is not a coincidence. These cycles are lessons that must be learned because each trial you overcome transforms you into someone stronger, more prepared, more awakened. And here's an important detail. The more you awaken, the greater the challenges become. Some people reach a certain level of spiritual awakening and believe that from then on, life will get easier. But the opposite happens. The world seems to become even more challenging. The tests become more intense. Have you ever gone through moments when you felt like you were being attacked from all directions at once? As if the universe were testing your faith, your patience, your resilience? This happens because, as your consciousness expands, opposing forces try to stop you from moving forward. And there's something no one tells you. Some people, when faced with these challenges, give up. They feel overwhelmed, defeated, and they surrender to their pain. But this is a fatal mistake. When a chosen one gives up, they don't just lose their strength, they lose their purpose. Everything they've endured so far would have been for nothing. Have you noticed that those who can't handle the trials often become bitter, stuck in cycles of suffering, unable to find a way out? That happens because they didn't understand that they were being prepared for something greater. But those who endure, they become unstoppable. The more a chosen one survives these trials, the stronger they become. And when they finally understand why all of this is happening, their true power awakens. The question now is, what about you? Will you give in to the pain, or will you endure until the end? Because there is another sign, a sign that may finally reveal what is truly happening behind everything you've faced until now. And once you understand it, your perception of your entire life will never be the same. From an early age, you felt that you didn't fully belong to this world. Not just because life was difficult, but because something inside you always told you that there was a greater purpose. While others went about their lives without questioning, you felt you were destined for something different, something you couldn't yet explain. Maybe it started in childhood with that strange feeling that reality around you wasn't exactly as it seemed. Or maybe it was in adolescence, when you began noticing patterns, synchronicities, and signs that seemed to be trying to tell you something. As if a part of you already knew there was a path you needed to follow. The chosen carry this restlessness throughout their lives. They cannot be content with an ordinary existence because they know, deep down, that there is a reason they are here. And this feeling only grows with time. Maybe you've tried to ignore it. You followed careers, relationships, and paths that seemed normal, but somehow you always ended up feeling empty, as if you were wasting your true potential. And then something happens. It could be a life-altering event, a loss, an accident, or even a seemingly random conversation. Something that awakens this calling in a way that can never be undone. The chosen always receive signs, clues, and opportunities to discover their mission. But not everyone is ready to listen. Have you noticed that whenever you try to follow a path that isn't meant for you, everything seems to go wrong? As if the universe is pushing you away from it? This happens because the call to your mission cannot be ignored forever. The more you resist, the stronger it becomes. And here's something few talk about. Not everyone who feels this calling manages to fulfill it. Many spend their entire lives feeling this restlessness, but never find the courage to seek answers. They live frustrated, sensing that something is missing, yet they never take the first step. But those who accept this calling, they experience something that most people never will: the clarity of knowing exactly why they are here. And if you're hearing this now, perhaps this is your chance. Perhaps this is the sign you've been waiting for. But there is another sign, and this one might be the strongest of all. For as long as you can remember, you felt that something was trying to hold you back. Every time you took a step forward, something happened to pull you back. Maybe you've gone through periods of extreme exhaustion without explanation, vivid nightmares that felt more real than they should, or even that strange sensation of being watched by something unseen. If this has happened to you, know that it is not a coincidence. The chosen do not go unnoticed in the spiritual world. From the moment you began to awaken, invisible forces started trying to stop you. And these attacks can take many forms. One of the most common signs is sleep paralysis. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, fully conscious but unable to move? Felt a dark presence in the room, a pressure on your chest, an overwhelming sense of fear? Many try to explain this scientifically, but here's what few will tell you. The chosen experience this more often. Because these episodes are not just brain phenomena, they are spiritual attacks. It's as if something is trying to weaken you in your sleep, when your mind is at its most vulnerable. But these attacks don't just happen in the dream world. During the day, you may feel your energy being drained by certain people. Energy vampires. Have you noticed that after talking to some people, you feel completely exhausted, as if your vitality has been sucked away? This happens because your energy is strong, and some people, whether knowingly or unknowingly, feed off of it. These are the people who always bring you down, who appear when you're doing well, only for everything to suddenly start going wrong. Second, distance yourself from energy vampires. If someone always leaves you feeling drained, they should not be in your life. Third, never give in to fear. Fear is the greatest weapon used against the chosen because it weakens your light. And lastly, recognize your own power. Have you realized that despite everything you've been through, you never gave up? That is not a coincidence. You are stronger than any attack, more powerful than any opposing force. And the proof is that, even after all the hardships, you are still here. But there is a 10th sign, a sign that may be the most important of all. Since the beginning of time, there have been people like you, men and women who felt they did not fully belong to this world, who questioned reality, and who throughout history were persecuted, silenced, or simply ignored. They were different. They had something others did not. And because of this, they were called prophets, visionaries, shamans, sages, witches, heretics. But deep down, all of them were chosen. If you've made it this far, then you've already realized that your life has never been like everyone else's. That since childhood, you felt the world around you wasn't quite right. That no matter how much you tried, you never fully fit into the system. But what if I told you that this was never a mistake? What if the fact that you never fit in was the greatest proof that you have a higher purpose? Because the chosen have always existed. And there is something happening now that many have yet to realize. For the first time in millennia, many chosen are awakening at the same time. The truth that has always been hidden. This is not a theory. If you study ancient texts, forgotten scriptures, and forbidden records, you will see that there have always been people who saw beyond what they were allowed to. Some of these individuals had their names erased from history. Others were burned, condemned, discredited. The chosen have always been a threat to the system. And what is happening now? You feel it. The world is changing in ways that most people cannot comprehend. And there is a reason for that. We are in the midst of the greatest spiritual awakening in history. Have you noticed how everything seems to be accelerating? As if there is an invisible urgency? As if, in some way, you are being called to something you do not yet fully understand? This is not random. You are feeling the call. You do not belong to the common system of humanity. From the moment we are born, we are trained to follow rules. To believe that life is nothing more than studying, working, paying bills, and dying. The system wants you to be busy enough to never question, to never realize that there is something beyond. But the chosen have always sensed that something was wrong. And that is why your life has always been filled with trials. Because you were born to break patterns, to step out of the cycle, to see what no one else sees. But here is something no one tells you. Not all the chosen wake up. What happens to those who ignore the call? Many feel the call but ignore it. They continue living as if nothing is happening, as if they were just ordinary people. They see the signs, feel the truth, but choose to close their eyes. And when they do, something terrible happens. The call fades. The mind shuts down again. The spirit goes back to sleep. These people spend the rest of their lives feeling an inexplicable emptiness, as if they lost something without knowing what it was. This is the fate of those who ignore the truth. But those who truly awaken, they realize that there is a next step. What do you do now? Now that you have discovered the truth, the choice is in your hands. You can pretend that nothing happened and return to your normal life. Go back to the routine, to the system, to the deep sleep of the masses. Or you can accept your journey and take the next step. But if you have come this far, you already know the answer. The final test. The chosen were not made to hide. They were made to illuminate. And now everything depends on what you do with this knowledge. Because this moment is a test. Now that you have awakened, what will you do with it? Will you move forward, or will you return to what you have always known? The truth is before you, but only you can decide what to do with it. If this message has touched your spirit, write in the comments, "The Chosen One has awakened." If you feel that this truth needs to be spread, share this video. And if you want to continue this journey, prepare yourself. Because the true awakening is only beginning. From the beginning of this video, something inside you has been activated. Maybe you felt chills, a shiver down your spine, or a deep sensation that this message was meant for you. If that happened, it was not a coincidence. It was a call. Now, you have a choice. Most people who reach this point will simply close this video and go back to their lives as if nothing happened. But some will understand what really happened here. They will know that this was not just any video, it was an awakening. If this message resonated within you, it means you are not alone. You are part of something much greater, something that few people ever perceive. But only the true chosen will feel this connection on a deeper level. Now I challenge you, if you truly felt this truth, prove to yourself that it was not just a passing thought. Confirm your identity. Write in the comments now, "I am a chosen one." This is not just a comment. It is a commitment, a silent code that only those who understand this message will recognize. But there is something even more important that you can do right now. Many people are still trapped in a world of illusions. They feel that something is wrong, but they cannot understand what it is. You can be the bridge to their awakening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, send this video to them now. Share this knowledge. Because awakening is not a solitary path. When one chosen one awakens, they ignite the flame in others. Now, one last warning. If this message has touched your spirit and you want to support this mission so that more people can be reached, check the pinned link in the comments. The world is changing. The chosen are awakening. But the final question is, what will you do with this truth? Because this moment is a test. Now that you have awakened, what will you do? The choice is in your hands. But remember, the chosen were not made to hide. They were made to illuminate, and the journey is just beginning.